Hey, look, we're here, and like you would have noticed last week, we had a very vulnerable conversation, and I kind of wanted to kick off tonight with just honouring Sammy and saying thank you for just being real. And you know, we had a few people from the community reach out and a few inboxes, and people just, you know, people that don't necessarily go to church or know God of yet saying, hey, there's something real about what's happening, and I'm curious. And I think that that's the message of our church, is to open the doors wide for people to know that there's a real God. He loves you, and he can transform your life if you let him. And so tonight we're going to be talking about leading into where our church is going to be heading, what Sammy's been doing with her heart, with Made for More and all these wonderful things. And I wanted to kick it off tonight with just asking you, how did the Made for More kind of program or discipleship, we'd call it for those that know what that means, come to life?
So backing off my my chat last week with the time I've had off work and how the concept of Made for More came to life, it was actually, so I feel like everything that's birthed, right, there's always a journey, there's always a backstory, there's always something that's led you to where you're going. And I've been, for a bit of context, so for the last kind of 10 years, I've been in spaces where I've been developing programs, whether they're intensive health programs, whether they've been in the community space, so youth resilience wellbeing programs or women's wellness programs. I've been doing this kind of stuff for a while. But like I said last week, I've now been able to create something that feels like it's full because we've got God involved. So I'm someone who likes to practice what I preach. So every program I've done, I've made sure that I've walked through it first to make sure that, one, it's been relatable, but two, that it's good. So that it's designed to be what it's meant to be. So with Made for More, I had to get really clear in that time off with what was really important to me, so what my values were. And I think that when I look at a life that feels rich and feels full, I feel like it's one that involves God, obviously, that involves really nourishing myself, and it involves giving to people. So from that, I birthed this program that I walked through myself. And the whole foundation of it was God time, temple time, and people time. So it was nourishing those three aspects. It was making sure that every single day, no matter how big or small it was, I was spending time with God, in the presence of God, no matter what that looked like. I did something for myself, so temple time. So that could be something as simple as drinking more water or resting or booking a doctor's appointment, whatever that looked like. And then I did something for others. And I was talking to Sam today because initially when I created it, doing something for others meant doing something for strangers, which I love. I think we should be doing more stuff for strangers all the time. But then today I was really thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? People time could literally be spending more time with my family. It could be hugging my husband when he walks through the door rather than going, hey, can you do X, Y, Z? It's sitting on the floor and playing with my kids rather than going, pick up that mess. Like, there's so much to this, and I'm so excited to unpack it because we're in for a ride. Yeah. But it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Heart House, we're in for a ride, and I suggest, like, we've set a goal, and because I'm a leader, I have to just be transparent about this. I was like, our goal is to build 100 crews in the next 5 years, and it's not for the sake of numbers; it's for the sake of community, and it's for people to feel connected. I do know that the idea is, and I just want to give some biblical context. When Sam says temple time, there's this fascinating verse in Luke, and there's a few of the Gospels that talk about it. But Luke, it talks about when Jesus died on the cross, the veil was torn into two. And what it's saying is in the Old Testament, you used to go to the temple, which is like the church, and you do your thing and then you go home. The most amazing thing about what God did is he said, you know what, I'm going to send you the Holy Spirit. It's no longer confined to four walls. It's everywhere. And so when you accept Jesus Christ, you become the temple. You become the harness of God's wonderful miracles and work. And I just wanted to add that because someone said to me last week, what's temple? Like, come to the church and vacuum? No.
That too.
Yeah, that too. But like, what does our own health look like? What does our own mental health look like? What does our own, we made a joke, like when I get home and if I'm upset, sit in the car for 5 minutes before I go in there and take it out on my family. Like my temple, my reaction matters. God time's easy. It's like we understand that, worship, prayer, all that. People is like generosity, looking after people. But temple time, it's like we do have to take care of ourselves.
And I think
it's important.
sometimes, like, we always think of the end result, right? We're always set on, like, what's after this. But it's like Jesus literally died for our physical human experience here on earth. So it's like if we're not investing into our physical body and investing into the vessel that we've been given, it's like, honestly, that's so powerful. It's thinking of it from a different lens. And I think I've always been in the space where it's either been, you know, these results-driven kind of programs where it's more a physical result. And then it moved into a space where it became quite personal. It was more like self-development, and it's evolving. These programs kept evolving for me. And it's like now it's in a space where it's like, let's make it realistic. Let's make it stemmed from something that's actually exciting and powerful and not driven from this guilt space. Yeah.
Now, I want to note that because this is something we've birthed out of Heart House, and it's aligned with our culture. We're not here to drive. We're not here to scare people out of hell. We usually say we want to love them into heaven. We're not here to make people feel guilty about not attending the Bible study or for praying. We want to inspire people that once you find Jesus, with his grace, you're made for more. And there's so much more for your life. There's more for your marriage. There's more for your relationships. There's more as a father, a mother. There's more for everyone. And I think sometimes we disqualify ourselves because like, oh, I didn't go to that Bible study. No, it's not about being driven by, events and expectation. It's about being inspired to go, you know what? Am I giving enough love to my temple time, God time, and others? And I think we mentioned that, which I want to go back to the car story in a second, but I wanted to ask you, what is the balance? Because you're coming from a non-church background, and I'll shout out all my church goers that have been going to church for a while. There's a big difference between guilt and inspiration. And when I was growing up, I inherited a lot of guilt in the church, just because I know I did bad things and I felt guilty about it. But there's something about being led by the Holy Spirit and convicted out of love and inspired, not just guilty like I'm going to go to hell, but man, I want to be part of heaven. And tell me the difference between guilt and inspiration, because they both will pull you out of the same place. But one's very unhealthy, and tell me what your thoughts are on that.
And I think that applies to like every area of our life. Like it's not, that's the thing, and that's the whole concept of this program, is it's so holistic. So guilt any part of this program should not be driven by guilt. It's about wanting more for yourself. It's about wanting more for your life. It's about wanting more for your kids. It's about wanting more for this whole experience that we've been blessed with. And I think when it comes from, if it stems from a place of guilt or shame or fear, then it's not from God. And it's like, and I think there's so many programs, there's so many, industries that really kind of harness our inadequacy, where we feel like we're not enough. And that's why people do things, because they're like, oh, I compare myself to this, or I'm not doing that, or I feel less about myself. And that's why people jump in. It's like, no, but if we can be inspired, if we can want a more joyful life, if we can have a more healthy life, if we can be more present, if we can be more giving, like, isn't that what we should be aiming for? And so when I really sat with what was important to me, it was like, what makes me feel good? Like, what makes me feel like I'm getting it right majority of the time? Some of the time, let's be real, some of the time. And it's always when I'm in the presence of God. And I'm not talking like having to read chapters and chapters of your Bible. I'm talking like taking an undisturbed walk outside and being so like taken back by what he's created. I'm talking about looking at your children and looking in their eyes and being like, how can you create this? Like, how is this possible? I'm talking about looking at your job and going, how did I land here? How did I get the privilege of living in this safe country? How did I get the privilege of having a roof over my head? Like, there's so much more. I feel God in so many more places than just in church. And it's like,
awesome.
And that's what it was to me, because I was sitting in this space of like, I need to be serving, or I need to be doing more, or I need to be more invested in my faith. And it was like, but it doesn't have to be complicated. And take that from someone that's not had a Christian background. I kept putting these expectations on myself that I had to be doing all these things, and I didn't know enough. And it was like, no, let's just pull it back, because God is everywhere, right? You just have to look for him and notice him. So,
and you said that to me, because I said, could you create a house crew community for us where you will oversee house crews being birthed at this church? And you said, I don't know enough. How could God use me? And I'm like, God ain't using your knowledge. He's using your experience. And I think for a lot of us, you don't have to be, like God doesn't go, well, once you get smart and get it all together and once you put your life, like God's just like, I can use you the way you are.
Yeah.
I can use the skills you do have. I can use what you don't have. And I think that's the beauty of God and the made for more thing is that it's not about the superheroes in the room.
No.
It's not about the pastors and all the people that are on platform.
No.
It's about us just being a church. That we know we don't go to church. We are the church.
Yeah.
And we're in community. We're backing each other up. We're helping each other move houses. We're praying for the sick. We're just doing it.
Yeah.
And it's not out of duty and out of, if I don't do this, God will strike me down with lightning. It's like, I want to change the world.
Yeah.
And I want God to change the world through me. And I think that's what's important.
Yeah.
And I know that we were talking about how it's more than a program.
Yeah.
And you said to me, it's not just about the program, that's more the structure, but you're like, it's about listening to that small voice that we believe everyone has. Some people call it a conscious. Those that find God know it's really God telling us. Talk to me about the small voice and tell me about how that helps us in our lives.
Well, is this my car story? I don't know.
It's the car story.
I was talking to Sam about when we were talking about the different elements of this and people time and just feeling like tapping in and listening. So I used an example of like the other night I went for a walk with my friend and it was like 7 o'clock at night. So it's really dark at the moment, it's 7 o'clock at night. And we were walking along like near bush and there was heaps of like deers and kangaroos, just to give you some context. So we were really scared. We kept hearing all these noises. But anyway, we're walking past this house and the car's lights were on. And I said to my friend, we were really on edge, by the way, very terrified. Our nervous system was not okay, fight or flight. And I said, I should go and tell them that his lights are on. And she's like, are you sure? Like very scared. Are you sure? It might not be safe. Anyway, I was like, no, like I need to go and tell him that his lights are on, him, whoever it was. So I knocked on the door, no one answered, and I felt the kind of tug of like, do I just walk away? Like maybe I shouldn't. And I knocked again, and this man comes out with his glasses. He's like, hello? He's like, can I help you? This strange woman at his doorstep. And I said, I'm just letting you know, like your lights are on. I don't know if you're aware. And he's like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. And I'm like, that was such a revelation for me because I'm like, there's so many opportunities for us to be kind. There's so many opportunities for us to help people, to just notice the little parts where we can make some kind of, I don't know, impact on someone's life. It's like, I literally could have walked past and said, oh, well, that's your tough luck. You did that. But it's like those little voices, those little nudges that are like a little bit more, just be a little bit more, give a little bit more. And I think it doesn't have to be something extreme. Like it's just noticing those times where you can be more, where you can give more, where you can improve. And without it being something that's so overwhelming or so far-fetched and hard to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I wanted Sam to mention that story because I laughed because I said to her, that's like when sometimes God says to me, like even in the church, like just go pray for that person. And like my fear just knocks me back. And I'm like, they probably don't need it. I'm overthinking it. Like, I don't know, anyone else relate to that? Like they hear something. Yeah. It's even like the other day is like pay for that person's petrol. I'm like, that's not from God. Like that's like it's like we suppress the voice. Yeah. And somewhat, and it's not out of judgment. Sometimes then we suppress the call of God because the fear overrides us. Yeah. And I think that you know we just be encouraged if we feel the small voice to go up to someone even at church, people time, and say, hey, I'm cooking you a meal this week, or you know, just smiling to a stranger down the street. Letting that fear not let the enemy kind of suppress God's voice. Because you could have just walked and not clicked the light. And I guess I wanted to share that because it's not like it has to be extreme and extravagant and look we change the world. It's just like sometimes you just need to let someone know, hey, your light's left on. Yeah. And if I think about it, like when I was creating this, when I was talking about my values and things, I'm like, I had to ask myself, like, how do I want to be remembered at the end of my life? Wow. Do I want to be remembered from being generous? Do I want to be remembered for like lighting up a room? Wow. Do I want to be joyful? Do I want to be happy? Do I want to be someone that cared for others? Or do I don't care. I don't want to be remembered for the car I drive or how much money I have or how I look. Like it's not about that. It's about what is a fulfilled life, and it's a life that you can be proud of, a life that's rich, but a life that's full of faith. Yeah, and I think that is the call that Jesus has on every human being. Yeah. That once you find him, nothing else identifies you except for him. Yeah. And it's beautiful because it evens the playing field. It's not knowledge-based or wealth-based or who's dirty, who's clean. It's just like Jesus died for all and can use all.
Yeah.
And at the end of your life, people will go, Jesus impacted my life through Sammy, through Hard House, through your life. Our lives become a vessel of the Jesus that's trying to reach all.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful. And I think that means, like, take a breath, everyone. Doesn't matter if you're young, old, God will use all people to change the world, and people will remember the impact you left.
Yeah.
It leads me to the second question. What does life to the fullest actually mean to you?
Well, if we look, like, if I'm... We all know my testimony from last week, and I told you I'd done all the worldly things. I've done everything you've been told. I've done everything that's meant to, put you in a better place and make you feel better. And I'm like, the only thing that was missing was God. So I don't necessarily think it has to be a life full of everything. It's just a life where you're content, where you can be, doing what we've been put here to do. You can be a kind person. You can be well. And I think all these concepts they all go hand in hand. And I think that's the beauty of, like, every part of my stories led me to here, because it's like I had to be in those spaces. I was nourishing every part of my being, and it's like that was the one thing missing. So it's not necessarily saying it needs to be a full life full of all these things and unachievable things. It's just a full life with faith.
With faith in God. That's super important. I mean, just to digest that for a second, if I had nothing but God, I'd be happy. And if I had everything and still had God, I'd be happy. God's the only center, the only point that leaves me full.
Yep.
And that's a message to the world right there, that we're not here trying to get more. We've found it. Like, we found, like, for those in the room and for those that are looking for God, we're gonna pray that you find God on your journey. But for those in the room, let's just take a second. We found God. Like, the most fulfilling thing, like the thing that you searched for your whole life, and you said, and then I found it, and it changed my whole life. Like, I think sometimes as believers or people that do know God need to take a moment and go, geez, we found God. Like, we actually found it, and the idea is that our lives are the proof that He's real. And I just, I think Made for More is an example of that. It's not people saying, well, you preached it well. They're saying you live it well. There'd have to be more to this. Why were you kind? Why were you generous? Why do you meet in communities? Why do you go to church? Because I'm made for more, but there's a God that is real. And our lives become the story, and they become the preach. Yeah. It's true. Without God, I feel empty.
Yeah.
I know you want to play a video leading onto that. Before we do that, give me some examples of a God time, people time, and temple time.
This is why I love. So to give you some context about this program, it's so individual. So the 3 non-negotiables every day are God time, temple time, and people time. So it doesn't matter what it is. Your temple time could be running 10 kilometers. That's not mine, but it could be yours. It could be, so for example, God time. It could be literally like, I'll give you examples of what we do. So it could be your devotional. It could be spending time in prayer the second you open your eyes, like thanking Jesus for literally waking up. It could be listening to worship. So we make a point of listening to worship in the car with my kids. It could be praying. It could be reading your Bible. It could be being out in nature. It could, whatever's relevant for you. There's no right or wrong. Wherever you feel the presence of God is God time. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's not a cookie cutter.
It's not a cookie cutter. Cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And it's not like, it's not meant to be unachievable. It's not meant to be like, that wouldn't feel right for me because I'm not there on my journey. Yeah. So I'm not going to go and do Bible study because for me it's like, oh, I'm probably not there yet. But that's okay. You don't have to fit the box. It's whatever you feel you need. And like, you guys said to me when I was trying to find what I need, you told me to pray. You told me to pray and ask God, and it's exactly what you need because it will come through. Whatever you need will come through. Yep. Temple time again. So temple time for me, being in a space where I've worked for so many years, where the whole fitness industry, the whole well-being industry was built off not being enough. So it was constantly these immeasurable goals of like, super unrealistic, led from a place of self-loathing, of not feeling good, of not feeling enough, of comparing, of, all these horrible negative things. And it's like, but if we can really honour this magnificent, miraculous body we've been given, like that is honouring God, because it's like, hey, he gave us this, guys. It's a gift. Like, we should be really looking at it from a space of, how can I live the most vital and fulfilling and vibrant life on this earth? Because we've been put here. We've been put here in our physical expression. So for us to expect miracles in every other area of our life and not look after the one thing he gave us, it's like, it doesn't have to, we don't have to complicate it. We don't have to be doing 8-week challenges. We don't have to be ticking all these things off our list. For what? For our ego? It's like, no, all we need to be doing is something small every day. Drinking one more glass of water.
I said that. I said, all right, Sammy, every second drink will not be a Coke. I'll do water. One day I'll stop out. Like, it's just
and that's the thing. We don't have to be setting goals. I used to, even in my wellbeing programs, go, I hated the idea of goal setting. I feel like it set you up from a feeling of guilt and shame if you didn't achieve it. Whereas if it's an intention, it's like, I intend to do that. If I get it wrong, I'm going to give myself grace, because it's fine. It's not about being perfect, at all. And we'll go through that later. But all it is being a bit more intentional with your day, showing up and doing something for you. Whether it's getting outside and getting the sun on your skin, like, it doesn't have to be hard. And that's the whole point, is it's like, as long as you know what you need for yourself, that's the main thing. So it's like every day. And they say it takes 8 weeks to develop a new habit. So the whole concept of GTP is about building a habit. So every day I go to myself, well, have I spent time with God? Have I done something for myself? Have I done something for someone else? And if I haven't, I'll do it. Because I'm like, that's what's important to me. That's what it was birthed from. It was from wanting to be a better person. You don't have to believe in Jesus to want to be a better person. Tell me one person who doesn't want to be kinder, who doesn't want to be healthier, who doesn't want to be, like, share more. Like, it's not...
And that's the beauty of God's grace. Like, if you know anything about Jesus, he talks a lot about discipleship and how we develop our lives, but he worked with some crazy people that missed the mark and betrayed him and, got him hung on the cross and sold him out for silver. And you read the Bible, they dogged Jesus. And Jesus said, but I can work with that. And I can change the world with that. And that inspires me every day, that I will miss the mark. But his grace meets us with the, I'm made for more. But if I miss it, I'm not a sucky, horrible, stupid human being. God's got more for my life.
It's not about it's not made to be perfect, right?
Yes,
it's the intention of wanting that little bit more to live a fuller life. It's not about getting it perfect 100% of the time.
I know that people time, and I know we mentioned that before, we'll watch this video. People time is the people in our lives, the people that are strangers, but also people we're married to and we do life with, to just take a moment. I mean, you inspired me to go, how can I fit in more time with Kirsty, going on a date? Like, sometimes you get busy and you just forget to do that. So following the God time, temple time, people time really just keeps me in check to go, when's the last time I took Kirsty on a date? Or, took my kids to the park. And, or just invited a friend over for dinner.
It doesn't have to be a huge act. It could literally be like paying forward someone's coffee. It could be being nicer to the person that serves you. Like, it doesn't have to be going and cooking a meal for someone. If it is, that's great. So that's amazing. But there's no right or wrong.
Sam, and I will just say this to the church. Sammy's like humbling me, because I'm like working through my own trauma of like, I'm trying to get healthy. I'm trying to read the Bible more. And she's like, don't beat yourself up. Like, God, this is why you're in charge. This is why you're running this, because you're going to lead us. You're going to lead me, even as the pastor. Give her a round of applause. You're going to lead me. And I sincerely mean this. Like, I really do mean this, and I speak on behalf of those that go to church. You're going to bring refreshment to our lives. Because even for my own self, I'm just sometimes driven by guilt. I'm driven by expectation. And just right even now we're talking, you're saying, Sam, come on, like, in the nicest way possible. Doesn't have to be that big. Like, just love on yourself and let God use you. I think
that's going to be, which we'll get into later, but the beauty of house crews, so you can have that space with your people to sit down and be so vulnerable, to unpack things, to talk through what's hard, what's been easy, what was a win for you. Like, that's your community to talk through all those things. And it's not to say that you're going to be perfect 24/7. I have times all the time where I'm like, oh, I could have been nicer. Oh, I could have given something then. I could have, spent more time on myself. Like, whatever. we all have those moments where we don't get it right.
Yeah.
And instead of sitting in the guilt and the shame for doing that, it's like, okay, well, I'll try again tomorrow. Like, it's not that big. It's like we have...
It's good.
Yeah,
I'm just getting vulnerable. I just wanted to highlight that because you're kind of pastoring me right now in front of the church, because I'm getting emotional because you're not warped by this idea of religion or guilt, and for a lot of us we struggle with that. And I know new people won't even come to church because they struggle with this ideology that you have to be perfect and you have to, if you got it wrong or you forgot to pray yesterday or you didn't read your Bible, like, does anyone feel what I'm saying? And I, as the pastor of this church, am being refreshed by what God's spoken through you and built through you to say, if I go to a house crew this week, that I can just be okay if I just turn up as Sam and my crew prays for me and I tell them that I struggled this week as a dad, and it's just real and it's life, and it should be like that. I think we're going to hear a lot more about it. But I do know you want to share this video which inspired you.
I just want to preface it. It's directed at parents, but it's relevant to anyone. And we'll get into it and go from there.
Oh, God. Isn't that just like such a reality check? I'm 80 years old, and somehow I woke up in my 38-year-old body, just for one day. Mummy, wake up, they shout. I blink, I sit up slowly. My babies, they're small again. I gasp, I cry. They climb into bed, giggling, wiggling. I used to rush through mornings, but not today. I catch my reflection in the bathroom mirror. No deep lines, no grey hair, my younger face. I used to think I looked old at 38. What a silly thought. I stare for a moment and think, you are so beautiful. I find my husband in the kitchen making coffee. He looks strong and young. I wrap my arms around him so tightly, he looks surprised. We pile into the car, kids arguing over seatbelts. Someone drops a snack, crumbs everywhere. I used to get so frustrated, but I'll miss this mess. I will miss this mess. Dinner is loud and unorganised. No one wants to sit still. There's shouting, giggling, and so much life. And before bed, I pick up the phone and I call my mum. I hear her voice. Mum! Mum! I haven't heard this voice in so many years. And I tell her I love her again and again and again. And I never want to hang up. At bedtime, I don't skip the pages in the story. Not tonight. I don't want this day to end. I got one more day, and this time I knew. This was joy. This was love. Those little hands, those loud, messy dinners, our strong young bodies with no aches or pains, our parents who were still alive. It all mattered. So much more than we ever realised. Doesn't that just put you right back to where we have to be grateful? We're just surviving, we're not thriving. But it's just a moment where we have to think, whenever we are overwhelmed and we're in the trenches, just think of that 80-year-old and go back to that time, because you're going to miss this. We will.
Big tearjerker.
It's powerful.
Oh, that had me bawling the other day. Bawling. And I think it's not just for the parents. It's about going, we have one opportunity for this. And it's like, we have one chance to get it right.
Yes.
We have one chance to lead people somewhere better. And it's like, we're not going to get it right all the time. We're going to get triggered by things like that and go, wow, that really made me feel a sense of guilt and shame about what I've been missing. But I think it's a really good reminder, like, don't feel guilty from that. Feel inspired. Feel inspired. Look at that and go, wow, like, I'm going to squeeze as much as I can out of this life. I'm not made to be perfect. I'm made for more.
Yeah.
I'm made for more. I'm made to be a better mum. I'm made to be a better friend. I'm made to be a better stranger to someone down the street. I'm made to feel healthier. I'm made to feel well, to wake up and feel well.
Yeah.
I'm made to spend time with God, like, in God's great, like, I think that was the biggest thing for me. It's like, even when the seasons are hard, yeah, that was a great point by saying, think about 80-year-old. No, when the seasons are hard, turn to Him. Keep your eyes on Him.
Yeah.
We've had hard seasons, but it's like when that's at the center, you can get through it. You can know it's a season. We learn about seasons for a reason. It's not forever. It's not forever. But it's about looking at what we have. Like, how blessed are we? How blessed are you?
Come on.
How blessed are you for your children? How blessed are you for your friends? How blessed are you for your finances? Like, it's not about having this extraordinary life. It's about having a rich life with what you've got. And I think that's what it was stemmed from. I don't want a perfect life. I don't want that. I want a life that's rich in my happiness and my joy and my compassion, and my generosity. Like, that's what I want for myself. And I'm not perfect, and I get it wrong every single day. I watched that on whatever day it was, Thursday, and the next day I was yelling at my kids. But that was a great little reflection to go for me. Okay, well, I'm going to go and apologise. I talk about this all the time. I used to talk about with my parents about the repair. We're always going to have a rupture, and that's for any relationship. There's always a rupture. We're always going to get it wrong, but the repair is what matters. So
It's true.
it's not about feeling guilty and ashamed and feeling yuck for wherever you've been, whatever you've walked. It's about going, we can always choose more. We can always choose more. We can wake up every single day and do something tiny to make a bigger impact. And that's going to impact other people.
Yeah.
That's what we want. Like, we want other people to go, oh, like, there's something about you. You're different.
Yeah.
And that's what leads people to Jesus.
Yeah. It does. I love this because it's refreshing, especially for believers, because grace marries into the perfection of your life wasn't meant to be perfect, but His love and grace is. And if grace covers the past, then love leads you into the future.
Yeah. And
I now understand why God's so big on unconditional grace and unconditional love, because listen to me, church, listen to me, strangers, whoever's watching online. Following God is not about perfection. It's about accepting His perfect love and His perfect grace to cover where we're coming from and for love to lead us to where we're meant to go. And I always say we're not meant to be here just to belong. God's called us to become. Man, we didn't plan for it to go this way, did we? I just want to end with this, and we'll close this chapter. I know for me there's a struggle between our identity when we find Christ. It's the struggle between our old life and our new life, our old selves and new selves. And I said to you this week, I can believe in God and still feel like I'm not enough. I can believe in God and still feel like I'm a sucky dad. I can believe in God and still feel like I'm working through my anxiety of depression. So Made for More obviously has nothing to do with just believing in God. Because I can still believe in God and feel like I'm not made for more. I'm not doing a good job. Tell me what you meant when you said, but you are enough because you're made in His image. Tell me about it.
When we unpacked the program and where it came from, I said to Sam, I don't want people not to do it because they feel like they're not enough. So I don't want Made for More to be because you feel like you're lacking something, because you're not. No one's lacking anything. No one's not enough. No one's worthless. Like, we've all been made perfect in His image. All it is about wanting more for our lives. And it's not about perfection. It's not about ticking every box. And it shouldn't feel like that. It shouldn't feel like a burden. It shouldn't feel like something you have to do. Like, you should want more. You should want more for yourself, for your children, for the generations to come. You should want to leave that legacy. But it's not about you not being good enough, because you've been made perfect in His image.
It's true. Maybe, sometimes we've come to church or been in following Christ, and we've always thought, once I do everything and get everything right and, tick the boxes and go to the Bible study and be part of a house crew and preach on stage or whatever the expectation is, then God will start to love us and we're made in His image. But it's the other way around. You're already enough to him. He made you in his image. He thought it through. And now he's just trying to develop your life. And it's a big reason why I think Jesus said, hey, I'm going back to heaven now. I'll see you in a minute. But 2 things I want you to do. I want you to preach the gospel, which is love and grace and what we're doing. But I also want you to make disciples of all nations. And I'm starting to understand it. And I just wanted to add on there. In Proverbs 29, this is really tough. We were talking about this week. Proverbs 29, 18, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Where there is no vision, the people perish. And I believe Made for More is not about cleaning up the dirty or getting us into Bible studies or getting us into house crews and community. It's about us having a vision for our lives. A vision for Port Macquarie, a vision for our church, a vision for our finances, our marriages, our children. Having a vision so we don't just come to church and slowly perish because we came to the cross but we didn't know what to do after the cross. I'm telling you now, when the people have a vision, they do the opposite to perish. They start to build. They start to create. They start to really wake up again and go, you know what? We could win Port Macquarie for Christ again. My marriage could have healing. My children could find Christ again. And we start to believe it because vision is in the forefront of our lives. And I think one of the most important things about Made for More is that it brings vision back to people individually, in community, and when we're in our crews, it brings vision back to our lives and Made for More. And it's not just about vision for the sake of it or vision because it sounds good and whoop-de-doo, Heart House has house crews. It's saying I've got vision for my life and I refuse to perish. I want to live for this. I don't want to just find God. I want to walk with him. I want to learn what it is to follow him in every step. And so without vision, we perish. And Sam, what you've worked on is vision for our lives. It's vision for me individually. It's vision for our community. It's vision for Port Macquarie. It's vision for this room. And so I just want to pray together that as we launch this, that it changes our lives. 2 things I want to say. How do you sign up? And who's qualified? And I wrote this. There is no superstars. There is no qualifications. There's no pastors. There's no leaders. I'm responsible for the people around me at the moment. It's just, could I host? Could I host? And I'll tell you an example. I went to my house crew. I've been going to my house crew. And there's been, you ask them, you'll talk to some of them. There's been days where I've walked in as the pastor and we might have had our iPads and notepads ready to, talk about something. And I've said, house crew, can you pray for me? And on a Monday night, my crew's praying for the pastor. And I didn't quit that week, so you can thank my crew for that. But there's this reality that they prayed with me. And I know that some of us have helped move houses and we've done some things. And there's no qualifications, there's no superstars. There's just someone saying, hey, I could host some people. And the idea is that you just say, Sam or Sammy, I can be a host. And you start to gather people in your lounge rooms here. You can use the church, you can use any space. I know some people have come up with ideas that my house crew is going to go feed the homeless. Some people are going to do house crews on Zoom. They're going to meet on Zoom and just pray for their morning. There's no cookie cutter to this. It's just saying, I could host. The second thing is our goal is just to create authentic community. We're not going to put up everyone's names and lights and say, go join a group. I want the host to go find people in this room and say, do you want to be part of my crew? And hey, there's someone at the moment that's talking to me at the moment. They're going to be running a men's one and I'm not running it. They're like, can you come to my crew? And I'm like, I'll be there in my tracksuits. And you cook the barbecue because I'm hungry. Like, it's about creating community. And Sam's program will then slip into that where we maybe at the end of it go, hey, who here struggled with forgiveness this week? Because I sure did. Or we have discussions about prayer and fasting and love and dealing with unforgiveness. We've got it all in there for us to follow. So that's the important part about house crews. And I'd love to invite anyone that hears this online, because this will be out on YouTube, and those that are in the room. On the 29th of July at 6 p.m., which is a Tuesday, 29th of July, we're going to meet here, and Sam's going to break down her full heart of what this community will look like. And although the program can be followed individually, you can do it by yourself and follow it. There's no wrong in following it by yourself. You can do it if you're busy and you need to be part of that. You can do that, follow the weeks with us. But there is this high call to community and being loved and protected and helped and walked through it, and not out of duty, but out of love and support. So 29th of July, 6 p.m. Sorry. You say it. It's yours.
I just wanted to add on to that if you're a host, you literally don't have to do anything but host. You don't have to know everything. Everything's going to be prepared for you.
Yeah.
So it's literally a step-by-step guide. Like, it is so straightforward. All you have to do is lead in the way of recruiting and holding your people. You're just as much a part of it than anyone else in your crew. And you don't have to be part of a crew. You could literally walk away from tonight and going, I'm going to do GTP every single day. Like, that was my heart for it, is that people do those things and want to do those things and do it consistently for a long time.
It's good, eh? I feel like already I'm going to change the world. And I believe it. And tomorrow I'm going to be looking at my God time, people time, and temple time. And I just want to honor you and say thank you for birthing this. Like I said last week, for 3 years, Kirsten and I prayed that what happens after people find Jesus? And one day you walked into our house and you said, hey, I don't want to tread on anyone's toes, but I feel like God's given me something that's going to change the world because I believe in God.
I don't know if I said that, guys. It's a little bit more humble.
Okay. I'm telling you, she's somehow changing my... This is what actually happened. You're right. You came and said, I've got something. I said, that's going to change the world.
And I was you just do it. You just do it.
That's right. You're humbling me in front of the church. I heard what she said, and I said, that's going to change the world, because already I felt a sense that it's going to change my world. And I already knew that I was excited. And I'm a pastor. I'm a visionary. I'm always talking about changing the world. But I actually believed it when you said, hey, this is what authentic community looks like. And the beauty of someone not feeling like, oh, I've got a crew and there's 5 people waiting on me when I get there. It's like, I finished work at 5:30. At 5:35, I got the email, the information about unforgiveness. And I sit down and we have a meal, or we just hang out and we go over what unforgiveness might look like with a Bible verse, with something practical. And as a community, we grow, love, lead, and figure out what it means to be in this crazy life. So I just want to honor you. And I want to thank you. There's no place that Kirsten and I think we're too high. You're leading us into a new thinking. No, seriously. You're leading us into a new thinking that, God's got so much more for our church. And it's more than a Sunday, and it's beautiful. And God always just uses people, and they don't have to have crazy backgrounds. They can just say, God, I'm willing to be used. And it's changing our lives. It's changing the room. You feel what I'm saying tonight, guys? Like, you get it.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, we're probably going to skip worship and all that. I'll let the band know. We'll figure this out, but let's keep talking.
I'm just going to throw in your little motto. You don't have to believe to belong. So please, if you're not yet there on your journey, you can still be a part of this. In fact, I think it would be the best thing you could do to get closer to God. So,
amen. Should we do worship, church? All right. Before we do that, I'm going to break the third dimension and say that we've gone over time and all that jazz, but who cares? For a second, I think Sam and I and you should pray with us that this isn't just an idea. It's not just because the church needs it. Like, this is a call to humanity, that everyone that's breathing, has a soul, exists in Port Macquarie, in this church. Their lives are made for more. And we want to be diligent with that. I don't want our church just to be like, hey, Jesus loves you, and we help people find Jesus, and then not be diligent with the lives that have found him. And so for me, this is taking care of those that are part of the community, those that have said yes, those that are here. And so let's pray. Tonight, God, I don't have fancy words. I don't have anything specific to say. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for having enough grace for my life and this church's life, and I mean this in all sincerity, that God, you've been so good to us, that you're allowing us to step into a new season as a church. It's healing, it's freeing, it's exciting. It's not just out of routine or religion, but it's us going, you know what? Finding God matters, but walking with God also matters. Living for more, being made for more matters also. And so, God, I'm thankful that you're taking us out of a season of just belonging, and you're helping us learn what it means to become. And for those that are on the journey that don't believe yet, like Sam said, you don't have to believe to belong, that you can be part of this community, you can be part of the cruise, you can be part of what we're doing. I know someone even said to me the other day, I'm going to start a house crew just for those that are new Christians or don't even believe in God yet. They're just asking questions. This is the beauty of a community that embraces those that don't know God. This is the beauty of a community that's ready to actually do life together. And so God, I'm thankful for what you birthed through Sam's heart, what you've done in this series for the last 8, 9 parts. And tonight we seal that. That's not just a moment, but it's a shift in our church and a direction that we are going to win people to the cross, but we're also going to hold their hands as they live life from the cross. And so Jesus, we're thankful for this house cruise. We're thankful for the community. We're thankful for Sam's Made for More program. And as a church, we're just ready to do what you called us to do, God. In Jesus' name, amen. Put it up for Sammy tonight, guys.